On our website, you can get PDF learning materials for free. Please visit englist.me.
Democracy.
A form of government in which the people have the authority to deliberate and decide legislation, or to choose governing officials to do so.
Examples:
Democracy advocate. Principles of democracy. Democracy often entails inclusive capitalism as well.
Preamble.
An introductory statement or passage that precedes and sets the stage for a longer piece of writing, such as a constitution, law, or document, a preliminary explanation or introduction to something larger.
Examples:
Legal preamble. Historical preamble. The preamble of the Constitution outlines the goals and principles of the country.
Scot.
A tax or payment, particularly a share or portion of something, a person from Scotland or a Scottish immigrant.
Examples:
Pay annual Scot. Traditional Scot attire. The Scot-free suspect was later apprehended for a different crime.
Council.
A group of people who have been elected or appointed to make decisions or give advice on a particular subject or in a particular place.
Examples:
Other council members. City council election. The city council voted to approve the new development project.
Spot.
A particular location or place, a small round or roundish area, differing in color or feels from the surface around it.
Examples:
Beauty spot. A spot on his honor. This remote spot is rarely visited.
Acquire.
To buy or obtain something such as an asset, object, knowledge, etc., for oneself.
Examples:
Acquire knowledge. Acquire a new company. Children acquire language at a fantastic rate.
Tune.
A musical composition or set of musical notes that are played or sung. Verb, to adjust or set something to a specific condition or standard.
Examples:
The tune of a song. Tune a piano. The band played a beautiful tune on their instruments.
Outrage.
An intense feeling of anger or indignation in response to something that is perceived as unfair, unjust, or offensive, a public display of anger or protest against such injustices.
Examples:
Public outrage. Outrage over injustice. There was widespread outrage over the government's handling of the situation.
Swift.
Happening, moving, or capable of moving quickly.
Examples:
Take swift action. A swift current of a river. Her voice was swift, yet ever the last words fell lingeringly.
Voluminous.
Large in volume or bulk.
Examples:
Voluminous work. Voluminous data. The manuscript was voluminous, spanning several hundred pages.
Unanimous.
Of two or more people, in complete agreement, of an opinion, decision, or vote, agreed or supported by everyone in a group.
Examples:
By a unanimous vote. Obtain unanimous consent. That bill reached a unanimous agreement.
Reverse.
To change something's direction, order, position, decision, etc., to the opposite one, adjective, directed or moving toward the rear.
Examples:
Reverse the trend. Reverse the order. The restaurant reversed a ban on smoking.
Censor.
A person or institution responsible for examining books, movies, and other forms of media to determine if they are harmful or offensive and should be banned or altered. An official in charge of banning or suppressing information.
Examples:
Censor a book. Censor a TV program. The newspaper editor decided to censor the controversial headline to avoid backlash.
Medium.
Of a size, amount, or level that is average or intermediate. Noun, a means or instrumentality for storing or communicating information.
Examples:
Medium color. An advertising medium. The medium-sized shirt fits him perfectly.
Suddenly.
Quickly and unexpectedly.
Examples:
Suddenly attacked by an enemy. Die suddenly. Who answers suddenly knows little.
Circulation.
The movement of blood through the body or of a fluid through a system, the number of copies of a newspaper or magazine that are sold.
Examples:
Lymphatic circulation. Circulation of money. The circulation of the magazine has been steadily declining.
Contemporaneous.
Occurring at the same time, existing, or happening during the same period.
Examples:
Contemporaneous negotiations. Contemporaneous sources. The contemporaneous events of the time were chronicled in the history books.
Telegraph.
A method of long-distance transmission of messages by electrical or radio signals.
Examples:
Answer by telegraph. Telegraph wires. The telegraph service was interrupted for a while.
Globalization.
The process by which economies, societies, and cultures around the world become increasingly integrated and interconnected through the rapid exchange of goods, services, ideas, and people across international borders.
Examples:
The rapid pace of globalization. Globalization trend. The spread of popular culture worldwide is an example of cultural globalization.
Industrious.
Hardworking, diligent, and persistent in effort.
Examples:
Industrious worker. Industrious student. He was known to be very industrious and would often work late into the night.
Obvious.
Easy to see, discover, or understand.
Examples:
Obvious reasons. His conclusion was obvious. There are obvious differences between the two wine-producing regions.
Literally.
In the real or original meaning of a word or phrase, in a literal sense or way, not figuratively.
Examples:
Translate literally. Bite his tongue literally. He literally jumped out of his chair when he heard the news.
Spoil.
To ruin the taste, appearance, or quality of something, to become or cause something to become rotten or bad.
Examples:
Spoil a person's sport. Spoiled a surprise. If you leave the milk out of the refrigerator for too long, it will spoil.
Alert.
To warn or arouse to a sense of danger. Adjective, paying close attention or being in a state of readiness for action.
Examples:
Alert consumers to the dangers. Alert system. The company's cybersecurity team alerted the CEO to potential threats.
Assume.
To think or accept something to be true without having proof of it, to take or begin to have power, to begin to exhibit a specific quality or appearance.
Examples:
Assume a lousy attitude to his boss. Assume an important role. The following example assumes that the capacity of each battery is the same.
Enforce.
To make sure that people obey a particular law, rule, or situation.
Examples:
Enforce the law. Enforce a contract. Governments make rules, and police enforce them.
Catholic.
Universal and including many different types of things, related to or associated with the part of the Christian Church that has the Pope as its leader.
Examples:
Catholic in his tastes. The Catholic Church. Sociologists are now interested in Catholic world peace.
Intellect.
The ability to think logically and comprehend information, especially at an advanced level.
Examples:
Enrich my intellect. Human intellect. Your intellect is capable of distinguishing among similar objects.
Hegemony.
The dominance or influence of one group, country, or ideology over others, especially in political, economic, or cultural domains.
Examples:
regional hegemony, corporate hegemony. For decades, the U.S. has been viewed as having economic and military hegemony worldwide.
Thesis:
a written essay, especially one submitted for a university degree, that sets out the author's findings on a particular subject.
Examples:
a drift of a thesis, master thesis. His thesis on the effects of climate change won several awards.
Protestant:
belonging to or connected with a member of a Western Christian church that is separate from the Roman Catholic Church and that is based on the teachings of Martin Luther and other reformers.
Examples:
moderate Protestant groups, Protestant church. The Protestant Reformation was a major event in the history of Christianity.
Reform:
the act of improving or correcting something wrong or bad. Verb, to make a change in something to correct a flaw or improve it.
Examples:
economic reform, reform movement. The government is proposing a reform to the healthcare system to make it more accessible and affordable for all citizens.
Prediction:
the act of predicting the future by reasoning, a statement made about the future.
Examples:
make my predictions, gloomy predictions. These results muddied the prediction.
Individual:
a single person or thing, as distinct from a group.
Examples:
a private individual, individual freedom. As an individual, he had the right to make his own decisions and live his life as he saw fit.
Disagree:
to have or express a different opinion, idea, etc.
Examples:
disagree about a particular issue, disagree with a plan. I disagree for reasons already stated above.
Argue:
to express differing opinions or points of view, often in a heated or contentious manner, to present a case or reasoning to persuade or convince others.
Examples:
argue a case, argue passionately. The couple began to argue over which restaurant to go to for dinner.
Expand:
to increase or to make something greater in size, number, or importance.
Examples:
expand a lineup, expand agricultural output. They hope to expand their business worldwide.
Philosophy:
the study of general and fundamental questions, such as those about existence, reason, knowledge, values, mind.
Examples:
philosophy of education, Western philosophy. Ethics is a branch of philosophy.
Transaction:
An instance of buying or selling something, the act or process of doing something.
Examples:
Card with no foreign transaction fees. Transaction balance. Electronic transactions remain incomplete due to system errors.
Journal.
A newspaper or magazine specialized in a specific topic or profession.
Examples:
Scientific journal. Journal articles. The physician is reading the journals related to medicine.
Invisible.
Impossible or nearly impossible to see.
Examples:
An invisible asset. Invisible stars. The phenomenon is invisible at optical wavelengths.
Improve.
To make or become better.
Examples:
Improve a process. Improve the test score. We want to improve ties between our two countries.
Norm.
Something that is regarded as usual, typical, or standard.
Examples:
Norm of action. Cultural norm. The systems we have developed has accepted as industry norms.
Experiment.
The scientific test conducted to observe what happens and gain new knowledge.
Examples:
Experiment design. Series of experiments. His experiments showed highly positive results.
Claim.
To assert that something is true, to demand or request something as one's own, to lay legal or moral right to something. Noun, a demand or assertion of a right or something that one believes to be true.
Examples:
Claim responsibility. False claim. He wants to claim ownership of the abandoned property.
Synchronize.
To happen or cause to happen at the same time or rate.
Examples:
Synchronize movements. Synchronize our watches. The ball speed will increase when the lower body movements are perfectly synchronized.
Argument.
A set of statements or reasons used to support or refute a proposition or theory, a verbal or physical fight or dispute.
Examples:
A blazing argument. The argument against capital punishment. The argument between the two sides over the proposed policy was heated.
Invention.
The creation of a new device or process resulting from study and experimentation, the act of inventing.
Examples:
The invention of new techniques. Common invention. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Communal.
Belonging to or used by a group rather than individuals, for common use.
Examples:
Communal swimming pool. Communal combination of funds. Communal elections were held in several European countries.
Revolution.
A large-scale attempt to overthrow the government of a country, often using violence or war.
Examples:
Beginning of the Industrial Revolution. A political revolution. The revolution by the citizen resulted in a redistribution of wealth.
Generation.
All the people born and living at about the same time, regarded collectively, the production of heat or electricity.
Examples:
Generation gap. The generation of electricity. The younger generation has different values and beliefs than the older one.
Bet.
To risk money on the result of an event or a competition, such as a race or game, to get more money, to have faith or confidence in something.
Examples:
Bet on a race. Bet my future. I bet that you know it.
Approximate.
Nearly accurate or correct, but not completely so.
Examples:
Linear approximate equation. Approximate time. The approximate cost of the project was estimated to be around $500,000.
Relation.
The way two persons or groups of people feel and act toward one another.
Examples:
Relation between cause and effect. Relation of inclusion. The industrial relations laws were passed with little to no alteration.
Inflexible.
Not able to be changed or adapted, rigid or unyielding.
Examples:
Inflexible rule. Take an inflexible stance. His inflexible schedule did not allow for any changes.
Interpreter.
A person who translates spoken or written language from one language to another.
Examples:
Interpreter for the hard of hearing. Sign language interpreter. She worked as an interpreter at the United Nations.
Instruction.
Detailed direction, order, etc. on how to do or use something.
Examples:
Individual instruction. Follow his instructions. They needed further instruction to perform their duties efficiently.
Extraordinary.
Exceptional, unexpected, very unusual, surpassing the ordinary or usual.
Examples:
Extraordinary ability. Extraordinary weather. He narrated the extraordinary story of his adventure.
Execute.
To kill someone, especially as a legal punishment, to carry out or perform an action, duty, etc.
Examples:
Execute a bold strategy. Execute a double play. The mafioso who collaborated with the police was executed.
Writ.
A written legal order or command.
Examples:
A writ of summons. Issue a writ. He was served with a writ of eviction, giving him the notice to vacate the property.
Overwrite.
To replace or overwrite existing data or information with new data, often in the context of computer files or software.
Examples:
Overwrite setting. Overwrite memory. Don't forget to back up your data before you overwrite any files on your computer.
Incompatible.
So different as to not be able to exist or work with another thing or person.
Examples:
Incompatible personalities. Incompatible colors. It is a religion incompatible with the Western country.
Choke.
To prevent or obstruct the normal breathing or swallowing of someone or something.
Examples:
Choke with anger. Choke off the blood supply. The baby started to choke on a piece of apple.
Involve.
To include or affect someone or something as a necessary part of something else.
Examples:
Involve a lot of paperwork. Involve a high degree of risk. The investigation involves several government agencies and is expected to take several months.
Software.
A set of computer programs and associated documentation and data for doing particular computational jobs.
Examples:
Software architect. Copyrighted software. The company specializes in both hardware and software.
Chaos.
A state of complete confusion or disorder, often characterized by a lack of predictability or control.
Examples:
Chaos theory. Midst of chaos. The conference room was in chaos as everyone tried to speak at once.
Bay.
A part of the coast that is partially enclosed by land, a compartment or section of a ship or building.
Examples:
Bay Area. The mouth of a bay. She walked along the bay and collected shells.
Canonical.
Relating to or following the accepted, authorized, or traditional rules, standards, or beliefs, especially in religion or literature.
Examples:
Canonical form. Canonical books. The canonical Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are the most authoritative.
Tin.
A silvery white metal that is typically soft and malleable, often used to make containers or packaging materials. A thin sheet of metal or metal alloy used for a variety of purposes.
Examples:
Tin can. Tin foil. The roof of the old shed was made of rusty tin.
Server.
A computer program or a device from which other computers get information, a person who serves food in a restaurant.
Examples.
A mail server. Work as a server in a restaurant. After the airing of the TV commercial, many people accessed the website, and the server went down.
Specifically.
Only associated with or meant for one thing.
Examples.
Designed specifically for men. For specifically American customers. This ad campaign is aimed specifically at young women.
Permission.
Consent or authorization given by someone in authority, or by the owner of something, allowing someone to do something or allowing something to occur.
Examples.
Grant permission. Permission for permanent residence. I asked my boss for permission to leave early for a doctor's appointment.
Subsection.
A distinct part or section of a larger entity, usually a document, text, or organization, a subdivision of a larger group or category.
Examples.
Parent subsection. Subsection label. The report contains multiple subsections that cover different aspects of the project.
Diagram.
A simplified illustration of the appearance, structure, or workings of something.
Examples.
3D diagram. In a diagram. He is drawing a diagram illustrating how the equipment operates.
Chart.
A visual display of information such as a diagram, lists of figures, etc., a map designed to assist navigation by air or sea.
Examples.
A weather chart. A statistical chart. This pie chart represents our market share.
Squint.
To look at something with half-closed eyes, especially when trying to see more clearly or in bright light. To consider or examine something with suspicion, doubt, or skepticism.
Examples.
Squint against the sun. Squint at the radar screen. I had to squint my eyes to read the small print on the menu.
Ramification.
The act or process of branching out or dividing into branches.
Examples.
Ramifications of the scenario. Political ramification. The court's decision had many unforeseen ramifications.
Feudalism.
A social and economic system that was prevalent in medieval Europe, in which the nobility controlled land and resources, and peasants or serfs worked the land in exchange for protection and a share of the produce. A hierarchical system characterized by a rigid social structure based on land ownership and loyalty.
Examples.
Feudalism system. Medieval feudalism. The feudalism-based society of the Middle Ages had a strict hierarchy of lords and vassals.
Commerce.
The activity of buying and selling things, especially on a large scale.
Examples:
Interstate commerce. The local chamber of commerce. This company has invested heavily in internet commerce.
Adobe.
A type of sun-dried brick made from clay and straw, commonly used in the southwestern United States and other arid regions.
Examples:
Adobe hut. Adobe walls. The adobe house in New Mexico has stood for over 100 years.
Photoshop.
To edit or manipulate digital images or photographs using Adobe Photoshop software or similar tools.
Examples:
Photoshop a picture. Photoshop the background of the image. The photographer photoshopped the image to enhance the lighting and contrast.
Corporation.
A large company or group of companies that are controlled together by law as a single unit.
Examples:
A public corporation. Corporation assets. 4 companies were amalgamated into a single corporation.
Decide.
To make up someone's mind about something, to come to a conclusion or judgment after considering options.
Examples:
Decide a question. Decide on a course of action. She couldn't decide whether to order the pizza or the pasta for dinner.
Movement.
A group of people working together to achieve a shared goal, especially a political, social, or artistic one, the process of moving or being moved, physically or figuratively.
Examples:
A circular movement. Movement of troops. The movement of the dancers on stage was graceful and elegant.
Core.
The most essential or fundamental part of something.
Examples:
The core of an apple. Core business activity. These gas nebulas are merely newborn galactic cores.
License.
An official permission or authorization to do, use, or own something, a legal document that grants the holder the right to perform certain activities, such as driving a car, practicing a profession, or using a particular product or service.
Examples:
License renewal. Software license. Before driving, ensure you have a valid driver's license.
Threat.
A strong indication or likelihood of harm, danger, or adverse consequences, an expression of intent to inflict harm or injury on someone or something, often made as a means of coercion or intimidation.
Examples:
Economic threat. Environmental threat. The threat of severe weather prompted the city to issue an evacuation warning.
Forestall.
To prevent or obstruct something from happening, to anticipate and take action to prevent or prepare for something.
Examples:
Forestall disaster. Forestall a negative outcome. She wanted to forestall any potential issues by planning and taking proactive measures.
Adopt.
To choose to follow something, to legally take a child from another family and care for them as if they were one's own.
Examples:
Adopt a child. Adopt a bill. The National Assembly has adopted the budget.
Feudal.
Relating to a system of government in which a lord has certain rights and responsibilities to vassals in exchange for military service or other services that developed in Europe in the 8th century.
Examples:
A feudal lord. Feudal dictatorship. Lords and serfs characterized the feudal system of medieval Europe.
Embedded.
Fixed firmly into the surface of something.
Examples:
Embedded systems. LED embedded glass. The embedded chip in my credit card allows me to make contactless payments.
Enormous.
Extremely large or great.
Examples:
Enormous amount. Enormous potential. Shakespeare's output of poetry was enormous.
Decision.
The act or process of making up someone's mind about something, a choice or judgment reached after considering options.
Examples:
Decision authority. A selfish decision. She was struggling to make a decision between two job offers.
Internal.
Of or relating to the inside of something.
Examples:
Internal organs. The internal economy. The Prime Minister cancelled visits to other countries to resolve internal disputes.
Dependent.
Relying on someone or something else for support or aid.
Examples:
Dose-dependent induction. A dependent person. The small island nation is heavily dependent on tourism as its main source of income.
Operate.
To work in a particular way, to supervise something.
Examples:
Operate 24 hours a day. Manually operate a machine. This machine is too difficult to operate for me.
Rely.
To require a certain thing or the assistance and support of someone or something in order to continue, run properly, or succeed.
Examples:
Rely on convenience stores. Rely entirely on him. Babies heavily rely on others for food.
Tremendous.
Very great in degree or extent or amount or impact, extremely good.
Examples:
Tremendous amount. Tremendous popularity. We had a tremendous time yesterday.
Complicated.
Involving a lot of different things or parts in a way that is difficult to understand or analyze.
Examples:
A complicated process. Become increasingly complicated. He did complicated pen and ink drawings in just a few days.
Process.
A series of actions or operations performed to achieve a particular outcome or goal. A systematic procedure or approach used to accomplish a specific task or objective. A method of treating milk to make it suitable for consumption or use in other dairy products.
Examples:
Process improvement. Decision-making process. The process for applying for a visa can be lengthy and complicated.
Automated.
Carried out by machines or computers to replace or decrease human labor.
Examples:
Automated manual transmission. Automated way. The plant will continue operating through an automated system 24 hours a day.
Merge.
To combine or integrate things, or to cause this to happen.
Examples:
Merge into a new party. Merge those systems into a new one. This consulting firm decided to merge the two companies into one.
Distribute.
To give something to a large number of individuals, or to spread or furnish something.
Examples:
Distribute wealth evenly. Distribute video content. His estate was distributed to his sons.
Differ.
To be not like someone or something in some way.
Examples:
Differ from the majority. Differ according to species. The two products differed in their quality and price.
Tradition.
A belief, custom, or way of doing something that has been passed down from generation to generation within a group or society.
Examples:
A tradition of a culture. Against tradition. It is a tradition in many families to have a big Thanksgiving dinner with all their relatives.
Workflow.
The sequence of industrial, administrative, or other processes through which a piece of work passes from initiation to completion. The system of procedures, people, and resources that contribute to an organization's productivity and efficiency.
Examples:
Streamline workflow. Optimized workflow. Our team needs to reevaluate our workflow to increase efficiency and productivity.
Drawing.
The act of making a picture with a pencil, pen, or other instruments on paper, cardboard, or other material.
Examples.
Technical drawing. Drawing for design. She is talented at drawing and has won several awards for her artwork.
Arrow.
A thin, pointed projectile designed to be shot from a bow, a symbol or pointer that is shaped like an arrow.
Examples.
Arrow pointing. Arrow diagram. The archer aimed his arrow carefully at the target.
Ordinary.
Not different, exceptional, or unexpected in any way, especially in quality, ability, size, or degree.
Examples.
An ordinary school. Ordinary annual revenue. The ordinary session of the Diet opened.
Innovation.
The creation of a new device or process resulting from study and experimentation.
Examples.
Innovation leader. Cutting-edge innovation. The vegetarian burger was an innovation that quickly spread to the United Kingdom.
Screenshot.
A digital photograph or image of what is displayed on a computer or electronic screen, often used for capturing and sharing information or documenting an issue or problem.
Examples.
Screenshot function. Send a screenshot. I took a screenshot of the error message to show the tech support team.
Premier.
First in importance, order, or position, leading.
Examples.
Premier League. Premier position. He is the premier player on the team and always leads them to victory.
Mod.
A modification or alteration, typically one made to improve something or increase its functionality. A British teenager or young adult in the 1960s, noted for their close consciousness and opposition to the rockers.
Examples.
Mod culture. A house with mod cons. The mod for the video game added new features and improved gameplay.
Signature.
A person's name, often handwritten, written in a distinctive way as a form of identification or authorization, a distinctive feature or characteristic that is a hallmark or identifying mark of something or someone.
Examples.
Signature dish. Artist's signature. The lawyer confirmed that the signature on the contract was genuine.
String.
Long, thin material used for tying things together, composed of several twisted threads.
Examples.
Retie the string and make it strong. Tense piano strings. She wore a string of pearls around her neck.
Numb.
Unable to feel physical sensation and movement, not showing human feeling or sensitivity.
Examples.
Numb with cold. A numb mind. My left arm became numb.
Unique.
Being the only one of its kind, unlike anything else.
Examples:
A unique teacher. Unique design. The painting is unique, and there is no other like it.
Identify.
To recognize someone or something and say or prove who or what they are.
Examples:
Identify handwriting. Identify gene sequences. I will introduce you to how to identify the leading causes of the malfunction.
Coordination.
The act of making all the people involved in a plan or activity work together effectively, the ability to control different parts of the body effectively.
Examples:
Data coordination. Loss of muscle coordination. Synchronized swimming needs close coordination between 6 performers.
Generate.
To produce or create something, to make offspring by reproduction.
Examples:
Generate more electricity. Generate $100 a month. The economic stimulation program would generate a lot of new jobs.
Forge.
To fashion or shape metal by heating it and hammering it into shape, to create or develop something new or original, to form strong bonds or relationships with others.
Examples:
Forge an alliance. Forge iron. She had to forge her father's signature on the permission slip because he was out of town.
Existence.
The state or fact of someone or something existing.
Examples:
The biggest tree in existence. The struggle for existence. He was an atheist and therefore did not believe in the existence of heaven or hell.
Beforehand.
Ahead of time, in advance.
Examples:
Take a seat beforehand. 3 months beforehand. She packed her sunscreen beforehand to remember it on the beach trip.
Cooperation.
The act or situation of working together with someone towards a shared purpose, benefit, etc.
Examples:
Cooperation with strategic partners. Thoroughgoing cooperation. The cooperation between businesses and universities created this groundbreaking product.
Convince.
To persuade someone or make someone believe that something is true.
Examples:
Convince her to go with us. Convince an opponent. I am considering what I should do to convince him.
Complexity.
The state or quality of being complicated or intricate and difficult to understand.
Examples:
Cognitive complexity. Complexity theory. The project's complexity made it difficult for the team to complete it on time.
Graph.
A picture consisting of a line, lines, points, etc., that shows how two or more sets of certain quantities are related to each other.
Examples:
Graph theory. A graph sample. This bar graph shows sales over the past 5 years.
Ruby.
A bright red precious stone consisting of corundum, used in jewelry, a transparent type of corundum of any color except red, which is called sapphire.
Examples:
Ruby red dress. Ruby bracelet. The paintings in the gallery were filled with vibrant ruby hues.
Interconnect.
To connect similar things.
Examples:
Directly interconnect with those systems. Human activities interconnect with the environment. Our system can now interconnect with other databases.
Technique.
A particular way or art of doing something that needs skill.
Examples:
A technique in martial arts. The technique applied to construction. Jockey's superior technique brought him victory.
Applied.
Of or relating to a subject of study, especially a science, that is used in a practical way.
Examples:
Applied research. Applied physics. Military technology eventually became the foundation for applied technology that supported people's lives.
Reaction.
A response that reveals a person's feelings or attitude. In chemistry, a process in which one or more substances are changed into others.
Examples:
Chemical reaction. Trigger a reaction. There was a chemical reaction of the lime with the groundwater.
Singe.
To burn something slightly or superficially, usually by mistake.
Examples:
Singe off the hair over the flames. Singe the edges of a fabric. I didn't realize the iron was still hot and singed my dress.
Erotic.
Relating to or arousing sexual desire or excitement, considered taboo or provocative.
Examples:
Erotic novel. Erotic dance. The painting contained subtle erotic undertones.
Novel.
An extended fictional work in prose, usually in the form of a story. Adjective, original and of a kind not seen before.
Examples:
Historical novel. Novel effect. The novel has largely gotten positive feedback.
Economy.
The system by which a country or region produces, manages, and distributes goods and services, including the money and finances involved in these activities. Of an airline, the lowest priced, most basic option for seating in commercial travel.
Examples:
Economy of scale. Economy class. The economy of the country is struggling due to the recent political instability.
Incentive.
Something, such as a punishment, reward, etc., that encourages a person to do something.
Examples:
Financial incentives. An incentive to work hard. They have no incentive to win the game.
Harness.
To control and exploit the power of something, especially natural resources that produce energy. Noun, a set of narrow pieces of leather and metal that are used to control or hold in place a person, animal, or object.
Examples:
Harness a horse to a carriage. Put a harness on my pet. People have been exploring ways to harness natural forces and resources since ancient times.
Phenomenally.
Extremely or exceptionally, especially in a way that is surprising.
Examples:
Phenomenally quick. Phenomenally gifted. He became phenomenally successful in the entertainment industry.
Margin.
The space around the edge of a page or document. Finance, the net sales minus the cost of goods and services sold.
Examples:
Margin error. A profit margin. Unfortunately, the book's margin was too small to make notes.
Relate.
To establish a connection or association between two or more things. To narrate or tell about an event, experience, or relationship. To empathize or feel sympathy with someone or something.
Examples:
Relate a story. Relate a message. He tried to relate his experience to the group, but they couldn't understand.
Resolve.
To find a suitable answer to the problems or difficulty.
Examples:
Resolve a dispute. Resolve the computer error. This company resolves its battery problem completely.
Cable.
A set of wires covered by plastic or rubber that carries electricity, phone signals, etc. A solid thick rope made of twisted hemp or steel wire.
Examples:
Cable television. Coaxial cable. This system uses submarine cables to exchange information between continents.
Interpret.
To explain or assign the meaning of information, actions, etc.
Examples:
Interpret a graph. Interpret the question. Different people might interpret this news differently.
Detect.
To find or recognize something, especially something difficult to see, hear, etc.
Examples:
Detect a bad event. Detect smuggling across borders. The security camera has detected 4 intruders.
Naturally.
As might be expected, by natural manners.
Examples:
naturally arising, naturally regenerated forest. He was naturally gifted.
Prose:
a type of written or spoken language that is not organized in verse or rhyme.
Examples:
Prose fiction, rhythmical prose. The novel was written in prose with no rhyme or meter.
Senate:
a legislative body, especially the upper house of a parliament.
Examples:
Senate hearing, Senate Finance Committee. The Senate Majority Leader announced plans to bring the bill to the floor for a vote.
Legislation:
a law or a set of laws suggested and then passed by a parliament, or the act of making or enacting laws.
Examples:
anti-terrorist legislation, introduce legislation. Similar legislation had already been rejected by the parliament 4 times.
Fluid:
a substance that can flow and is not solid.
Examples:
plenty of fluids, fluid assets. She was diagnosed with a fluid buildup in her lungs.
Senator:
a member of a legislative body, especially a member of the U.S. Senate.
Examples:
junior senator, senator term. The hawkish senator gave a speech on the new bill in the Senate.
Sponsor:
to provide funds for a particular event, program, individual, etc., as a way of advertising.
Examples:
sponsor a contest, sponsor a local group. Our company sponsors numerous disabled athletes.
Possibility:
a chance that something may happen or be true.
Examples:
possibility for growth, possibility of a major earthquake. The possibility of getting the disease will drastically increase.
Develop:
to grow or expand, to improve or refine through a process of progress and refinement, often to achieve greater sophistication or complexity, to elaborate or add detail to something that is in the process of being created.
Examples:
develop a strategy, develop a skill. We must develop a new system to streamline our workflow and increase efficiency.
Copyright:
the legal right to be the only person or organization who can reproduce, publish, and sell a particular piece of work.
Examples:
artistic copyright, copyright infringement. The company is taking legal action against those who have violated their copyright on the software.
Debate:
a formal discussion or argument of opposing viewpoints, often to persuade others to adopt a specific position, a public discussion, often on an issue of current interest, in which participants offer opinions and differing perspectives.
Examples:
Debate topic. Debate competition. The debate over climate change continues to be a hot topic in politics.
Legislator.
A member of a group of people who has the power to make or enact laws.
Examples:
A legislator appointed by the party. Incumbent legislator. Corporate executives and legislators are still overwhelmingly men.
Evocative.
Tending to evoke or bring something to mind.
Examples:
Evocative memories. Evocative language. The music was evocative of a bygone era.
Edit.
To prepare written material for publication by correcting, condensing, or otherwise modifying it.
Examples:
Edit a history book. Edit a video. I need to edit this document before submitting it to my boss.
Delete.
To remove something, especially that has been written, to wipe out digitally or magnetically recorded information.
Examples:
Delete a file. Delete this modification. Highlight the sentences that you want to delete.
Capability.
The ability, skill, or competence to do something, the potential or aptitude for a particular task or function.
Examples:
Capability assessment. Technological capability. The company's pricing strategy limits its capability to compete with other businesses in the market.
Grant.
To agree to give or allow somebody.
Examples:
Grant a new license. Grant a land. The chairperson granted him the right to speak.
Feat.
A notable or impressive achievement, especially one that requires great skill or bravery.
Examples:
Intellectual feat. Feat accomplishment. It is an incredible feat to climb Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world.
Consent.
Permission or agreement to do something, especially given by somebody in authority.
Examples:
Consent for surgery. Give silent consent. She gave her consent to the company's proposal.
Collaborate.
To work with someone else to produce or achieve something.
Examples:
Collaborate with the police. Collaborate on a press release. She agreed to collaborate with him in creating new artwork.
ID.
A part of the psyche that represents the unconscious desires and instincts of an individual. In psychoanalytic theory, it is believed to be the most basic and primal part of the human psyche. Also ID, short for identification, a document or card that proves a person's identity, such as a driver's license, passport, or national ID card.
Examples:
The ID ego. ID card. I forgot my ID at home and needed it to enter the club.
Inevitable.
Certain to happen and unavoidable.
Examples:
Inevitable changes of the seasons. Inevitable result. In times of recession, an increase in unemployment is inevitable.
Lawmaker.
A politician or legislator who is responsible for making and changing laws.
Examples:
Female lawmaker. Incumbent lawmaker. This company has increased political contributions to federal lawmakers.
Graphic.
Relating to visual art or involving the use of diagrams or illustrations, very clear and powerful.
Examples:
Graphic design. A graphic description of an accident. The graphic novel was a masterpiece with stunning illustrations that brought the story to life.
Participate.
To take part in something.
Examples:
Participate fully in conversation. Participate in the program. The majority of students actively participated in the college's intramural sports program.
Legislative.
Having to do with the process of making laws, relating to or serving as a branch of government that makes laws, such as a legislative assembly or legislature.
Examples:
Legislative process. Legislative power. The legislative branch of government creates and passes laws.
Transparency.
The condition or quality of being easy to see through.
Examples:
Lack of transparency. Transparency during the trials. The main discussion topic is government transparency.
Dashboard.
A control panel set within the central console of a vehicle or small aircraft, a diagram that depicts critical information, typically one that provides a business overview.
Examples:
Auto dashboard. Business dashboard. He noticed that the oil warning light on the dashboard of his car had turned on.
Steer.
To control the direction or movement of a vehicle, to direct a course of action, to guide or motivate someone.
Examples:
Steer a steady course. Steer a conversation. The captain told him to steer the ship north.
Collaboration.
The act or situation of working together to create or produce something.
Examples:
Collaboration between companies. Collaboration platform. The partnership program requires a mutual collaboration between both agencies.
Momentous.
Of great significance, importance, or consequence, having a profound or lasting effect or impact.
Examples:
Momentous achievement. Momentous decision. Graduating from college is a momentous occasion in one's life.
Jury.
A group of people called upon to render a verdict or judgment in a legal trial. A group of people chosen for a special purpose or task.
Examples:
Jury verdict. Jury duty. The judge instructed the jury on the law and the evidence presented in the trial.
Peer.
A person who has the same age, status, or ability.
Examples:
Peer group. Peer review. Among young people, peer pressure can be pretty influential.
Lifetime.
The duration of someone's life or of something's existence.
Examples:
Lifetime benefits. Lifetime ban from the sport. She had lived through 2 world wars in her lifetime.
Compatible.
Capable of coexisting or working together without conflict or inconsistency, harmonious or well-matched.
Examples:
Fully compatible. Compatible with HTML5. The new software is not compatible with the old operating system, causing compatibility issues and errors.